Hey man, what's happening?
Yeah, my man, what's going on?
Not much. I'm just testing my mic. I'm assuming you're hearing me okay, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sound great.
Okay, great, man. Well, nice to meet you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. It's awesome meeting you, man. So
Yeah.
I'm already recording, man. We can get started, man.
Okay, I'm following you.
All right. So I'm gonna let you have the floor, man. You go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do.
All right, my name is Gerald Lott. I am executive director and founder of Sauk Valley Voices of Recovery. We are a peer-led recovery community organization serving 4 counties in northern Illinois. We're about 80 miles west of Chicago. I am an author of a book called Tribe Finding, Building Relationships as a Path to Recovery. I am a podcast uh, host. We have a podcast called Seeds of Recovery, and I am a person in long-term recovery. For me, that means I haven't had illicit drugs or alcohol since April 17th of 2008. So, and I'm a father. So that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a dad too, so that's good to know. So,
Changes things, don't it?
oh gosh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. It's like having a child, it's the biggest blessing ever. And at the same time, it could be, you can have your struggles. You can,
Absolutely.
you know, it's one of those things like 'cause sometimes you can have a child and you do the best you can, and then some days you could just get up or you could just be thinking and just be like, I feel like I ain't doing enough. And
Well, the
that's
thing
where the
that's
struggles come
interesting.
in.
The thing that's interesting, bro, is that if you follow 12 step, right? AA says
Yeah,
that our biggest problem is that we are selfish and self-centered. And so
correct.
when I was out running the streets and doing my thing, that made perfect sense. Anything that made me feel better, anything that enriched me, anything that I wanted. Now, as a father, I have to deal with that other person and what they want and what they do. And I'm not used to that. I don't like
Yes,
that, you know.
I agree.
As
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing it now for 30 years, but I still don't like it. I'm selfish. I want all my money to go to me, and if I do spend some money on you, I want you to act like I am the king of Siam. I should walk in the house. Them kids should bow down, throw roses on the floor where I'm walking. You know what I'm saying? I mean, where is the palms? Where's the guy doing this with the big palm leaf?
Yes. Give me your
Come on
fan.
now. Would you appreciate me?
Yeah,
But that's all my
exactly.
addiction, man. That's my addiction.
Because you sound like my brother because that's why he don't have kids because, he said it. He even said it. He's like, man, I'm selfish. Like, I want my money. I want all of it. Like,
Man,
having a kid, man, that means extorting that.
let me tell you, man, my kids, like their mother has them in all sorts of travel sports, right? And so at the
Sure.
beginning of every season, we're at the sport goods shop. Man, basketball shoes are like $200 now, right?
Yes,
And
dude.
my kid
Yes.
wants them. And I'm like, dude, I go to your games. I know you only play 40%. I should be able to get you the shoes that are 40% off, right? You know
Correct.
what I'm saying? I'm
Correct.
gonna put in the
Yes.
same effort you're gonna put in, right?
Hmm.
If you want the LeBrons, you need to be out there LeBroning, right?
You know what I'm saying? There you go.
But that's just me. That's just me griping, man. I love them kids. I'd do anything for them.
Sure.
They have become my addiction, and it's interesting how once I see. Here's the deal, man.
Hmm.
See, I'm always get you deep real quick, right?
Sure. Absolutely. That's what it's for.
Life is about agreements. You
That's
heard?
right.
And so I have agreements with all sorts of things that I didn't even make. I have agreements to stop at
Yeah.
stop signs. I have agreements to drive on the right side of the road. I have agreements not to rob banks, although I want to, but I don't,
Hmm.
right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay? Because I know that those people, if I break those agreements, the consequences will be dire and they are out of my control. So I
Hmm.
don't break those. On the flip side, the agreements I make with myself or my wife, right? People that I know will give in to me, people that I know will give me some slack, I break all the time. I.e.,
That's
I'm
right.
not gonna drink no more, right?
Hmm.
I'm gonna go to bed.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go to the gym every morning. You
There you
know,
go.
I'm gonna do 50
There you
push-ups a
go.
day, right? I break those
That's
all
right.
the time because I know I'll give myself some slack, right? And so then the interesting thing is, where do my children fit into that as a drug and alcohol user, right?
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I've been through some things, Daryl. I had a $400 a
Sure
day
thing.
crack habit, man. It was bad. The thing that stands out to me is I sold my son's bicycle when he was about 6. I sold his bicycle so I could get some more dope. And my son had to sit there and watch his bike go riding down the street with some other kid, right? That breaks my heart. That is one of them things that's a bell you can never unring, right? But the interesting thing is it's not about me, it's about him. It's about I broke an
Hmm.
agreement that impacted him,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know? That's I don't know. I just rambled on you. I'm sorry.
Dude, no, no, this is perfect. Like this is what that's what I say. You have the flow, man. You ramble on as much as you need to, dog. Because this is what it is. This is what it's about. But
Well, as
I
I
do want to.
yeah, go ahead, go, please. I'm here.
No, I was just saying, like, I just wanted to just take me back to that. Like, take me back to 2008. Take me back to those moments, like when you was feeling guilty, like you was feeling some way about all the things that you did.
Well, I still feel
How did
guilty.
that turn your point? Yeah, how did that like when you feel that, how does that turn into like a turning point that led you to like recovery? How did that work out?
Um, I'm gonna take you back. How far back? Way back.
Sure.
I would take you.
Go ahead. Let's
All
go.
right. So I graduated from college in 1988 with a
Mm.
severe drug problem. Okay.
And still
I
managed to
mean,
graduate?
oh yeah, oh yeah. I went to school in New
For
Orleans
sure.
too,
All
man. Let
right.
me tell you, I was clowning.
Oh yeah.
I was clowning,
That's right.
but I got out and surprisingly, I got into law school and I was doing some things, but I had a
Mhm.
real problem. And that was when I first started trying to do something about it. I had a situation come up where I messed up somebody's drugs and I had to pay a bunch of money and I didn't have the money and it just got ugly. And so I said, I'm going to try to get help. And I went to my first treatment. I've subsequently been through probably a dozen treatments because I would come out, I get sober for a month. Then I go back in. Then I get sober for 6 months. Then I go back in. Then because I wasn't really ready to get sober. I was trying to get out of trouble, you know.
Right. Right.
And again, I didn't have any children. It was just me, right? So I was
Correct.
willing to
Mhm.
break those agreements over and over and over again. Once my first daughter was born in 93, I had a little bit more of a run. My mother passed and I went into a thing. But in 94, I got sober and I stayed sober for 14 years. And in that 14 years, I raised my daughter. I had another son. I was able to build a very good life for myself. I was in music business. I was in nightclubs in Chicago. Good life. And I allowed a relationship to cause me to relapse. Um, and after 14 years, I went back out for about 7, 8 months. And it is amazing when you have the kind of appetite for alcohol and cocaine that I have, how much
Mhm.
success you can pack into a bowl or a shot glass, right? You know, businesses, homes, cars, family, just all 6 months gone. And yeah, I ended up starting over. And I can remember I talk about this all the time, how just
Mhm.
bleak it had gotten on that last night that I literally got down on my knees. I was like, God, you either got to kill me or help me, but come on, man, do something. I can't do this no more. And immediately a series of those God events started, those coincidences started happening. And within 24 hours, I'm back in a sober living home in another town. And I've never looked back from that. But what that did taught me a lot. And I don't say I'm religious, bro. I'm spiritual. But
Yeah,
I, I
same here.
I know a lot of people say that, but for me, I am very keenly aware of how close to death I have come, you know?
Yes.
And for me, God getting rid of Gerald would be as easy as him flipping the switch. Just I'm done with this cat, right? I keep
And
helping him.
that's
He
it.
keeps
Yeah.
jumping back in the fire, you know?
Mhm.
And yet my God didn't. My God moved all sorts of things to get me to a place where here I am now, having the history I have. I don't have any significant brain damage that I know of. I don't have,
Yeah.
tattoo across my face that means I can't get a job. I don't, I'm still a functioning human being. And as such,
Mhm.
that leads me to think that God must have something he needs me to do. I don't know what it is, right? But I know what it's not. It's not getting high, you know? It's not out
Correct.
there messing around with them gangbangers and all that bullshit I used to do,
That's right.
excuse my French,
Mm.
right?
No, you good.
So
Nope, you good. You good.
so I started, my organization to try to help people. And then another thing happened. My daughter, the first daughter I told you about, has a drug habit.
Hmm.
And she had a very serious accident. She fell off a balcony and broke her neck while high. And I
Oh,
had one of those moments with God where I said, God, if you'll help her, I will turn around and help somebody else. And he did. She came out of it. I mean, she's still running and gunning, but she at least came out of that instance relatively unscathed. So I got to deal with God now. And remember what I said
hmm.
about agreements, man. Today I try to
Yeah,
take my agreements very seriously, especially with God. Right?
no
Especially with
doubt.
God. And
Yeah.
so I had spent about 10 years in the auto industry. I was a finance manager at a very big auto dealership. I was making a ton of money. We went through COVID. I wasn't really crazy about how they treated the staff during COVID. The owners were
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, y'all go in there and get sick, and and we'll stay over here."
Right.
Right. But after that, I had a kind of an epiphany, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna have to meet St. Peter at the pearly gates, and is he gonna say, well, we're gonna let you in because you got that lady into a 5-year warranty? you know, or
Yeah.
can I do more? And I felt I could do more. So I took a leap of faith and I started this organization. And so far, we've helped over 1,500 people in the last 6 years get into treatment. We have 2 recovery homes. We've written a book. I've helped get laws passed in multiple states with regard to recovery. Um,
Man.
yeah, take it serious. Yeah.
And that's funny because like you tell your story and every person I've had on, it always seems like that some of these people would just take things for granted and they never actually, you know, address the issue at hand. They don't if they do address it, then yeah, I'm holding myself accountable to it and we're just going to shoot it from there. Like we're going to return a favor. We're going to, you know, do everything else that we need to do in order to get ourselves out of and never go back to what we did. And I think that's so important because these days now there's people that are just taking a lot of shit for granted. They are just literally, you know, abusing, disrespecting. They're just doing everything. And it hurts to see that. And that with you doing what you're doing, you're recovering, you got recover homes, you're doing so much for that community in, Illinois. And I just gotta say, like, that's just phenomenal things that you're doing. You can't
Thank you.
even ask for, something better than that because I also had a guy come. He came on, oh God, I want to say a couple of months ago. It was either 3, 4 months ago, somewhere around there. And I think it was based in either Texas or Tennessee. I can't remember which one it was. I've had so many on here, I can't even keep count. But
Yeah, you're doing really
it's
well.
nuts,
You're doing
man.
really well.
Man, and I appreciate that too. But this I think his name was Jim Boyd. He actually has that the same addiction. He had the alcohol, I think it was drugs and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
he ended up building a recovery home. He has quite a few recovery homes in that state of Texas, and y'all both like really seeing the bigger issue when it comes to drugs and alcohol and how people are abusing them, and y'all just stepping in like, hey, I've been the problem before. Let's see if we can go help other people do this. And that's
I
what
got
I love about it.
I got a friend named Jimmy McGill. If you ever
Okay.
get a chance to interview this cat, man, please do. He was
Sure thing.
a 19-time convicted felon and ended up being the first felon hired by the state of Arkansas as a state employee to be the director of recovery for the state of Arkansas. Cat's amazing. And he's got some
Man.
sober homes too, and the same kind of thing. But Jimmy and I were talking one time, and
Mhm.
he was saying, one of the interesting things about addiction is it's one of the only places where you will see people come running out of a fire, dust himself off, and turn around and run back into the fire to bring somebody else out. you know and
Yes.
that's what we have to
Yes.
do. That's what we have to do
Hmm.
because we know, man. I will tell you, there are some people on this planet I hate with a purple passion. I would throw darts at them, right? If I was riding down the street, I'd just throw darts at them, but I wouldn't want them to be addicted to nothing.
That's right. I
That's
agree.
something I wouldn't want on nobody, man. this this
I
is
agree.
this this is horrible because it's not the problem of the individual. See,
Hmm.
when I was using, I was kind of burned up, didn't nobody want to really kick it with me and then, all that. But I was pretty much fine. I was all right. I deal with it. But I was terrorizing everyone around me. I was breaking agreements. I was letting people down. I was scaring people. I was just horrible from from my children to my ex-wife to my parents to the neighbors next door who heard my door opening 100 times a night. Loud people coming in and out, up and down them stairs.
Mm.
You know, two,
Mm.
3 o'clock in the morning, 100 times. Man, just
Wow.
horrible to everybody. But in my mind, I was fine. It is what it is. So yeah, man, this addiction thing ain't nothing to joke with.
And just like you said, that like you're bringing that's just like the whole selfish thing all over again. You see, now we're
100%.
looking at, yeah, we're looking at two different types of, selfish. Like I see, like when I think of myself being selfish, I think about now. Like before then, I was just like you. I was like, man, I don't want no kids. Like I want my money. I was just like my brother. It was the same way. Like dude, I just want the money. I just want to keep everything for me. Like, I want to be able to
You
sleep
was
in on
living
the
a Biggie
weekends.
Smalls
I want to be,
song.
man, dude,
Get
like, I
money,
could just go over.
get
Yes.
money.
Money. Yes. Yes. That's all that
Right,
is, man. We on the
right,
Biggie Small thing. Like
right.
getting that, want to be able to sleep in, want to be able to just
Yes, sir.
hang
Yes,
with
sir.
anybody you want to hang out with and just do everything. And that's how I was. Now that I have my daughter, and she's only 5, and I have her, and that changed my whole perspective of being selfish.
Can't
So
stay out late.
when No, you can't really
No.
do anything. It's like you have to kind of, no, not even kind of, you have to limit yourself. And like when I was in the relationship with her mom, that was like my turning point. That, for me, in my personal opinion, it was a reckless behavior because of how I was acting. I was acting like, you know, I wasn't a single dad. I would just go out there, do whatever, talk to whoever. And she was too. So you can't even freaking deny that.
Right.
And there was times that I get stressed. You know what I do? I grab me some liquor or grab me some wine, get to
Hmm.
drinking, having a good time, or whatever like that when she's not around. But now this selfish me is like, you know what? The hell with you. I got to think about myself and my daughter. That's the
Hmm.
other selfish thing I have to think about. I have to literally be like, okay, she's in this picture now. Nothing is going my way. I need to figure out the inner part of myself, look in the mirror and see myself for who I am physically.
Hmm.
Internally, I knew reckless, angry all the time, irritated, burnt out,
Right.
everything. I was everything. But when she came in, I had to change all of that. I had to show compassion. I have to show respect. I have to show calm demeanor behavior. I had to do all that. And trust me, that's not easy. It's not easy at
Because
all.
that's not the see, I always tell people, man, my first thought is not recovered. Okay? My first thought is uncivilized as ever, man. I walk in a bank, I want to rob them. I see a woman walking down the street, I want to grab her.
Yes.
I want what, and I can't stop that thought. You know,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
quick as I turn my head. I'm driving down the road at 60 miles an hour and I see the lady jogging and I turn my head. And as quickly as I have turned my head and caught attention of her, I have thought something horrible. It
Hmm.
is my second thought that is recovered. That thought says, you don't want to do that. That'll get you in
Yeah.
trouble. That has never led you where you want
Correct.
to go. You need to take a better
Hmm.
path. And I learned that because I was unwilling to pay the price that first thought gets me because I need to be there for my child. Prior to my child,
Yes.
man, I've been in jail.
Whatever.
I can get it. We
You know
can
what I'm
get it
saying?
going. We can get it jumping. All right. It is what it is. I'm not. There's not much more that can be done to me to hurt me. I have. And
Come on, man.
here's the other one, man. Um, the worst thing that can happen to me in any situation is I die.
Yeah.
And if I die, I believe I go be with God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm still afraid to die because
Yeah.
isn't that where I'm trying to get to anyway? But I don't want to die now. I don't want to. I
Correct.
don't want to. I don't want to die before I know that I have built a higher platform for my children to dive off of than I
Hmm.
had. You know, and so that's what all the work is for, man. You know, Kat, I was talking to recently. Man, are we even talking about recovery anymore? A guy I was talking to recently was like, we have some crazy conversations, man. that weed talk that used to happen when I was on weed still happens. We were
Sure.
like, why do we go to work, right? It's not money.
Hmm.
You can always get money. And I get to the point where I realize I kind of do everything I've ever done in my life so girls will hang out with me, right? The
That's it.
car I drive, the clothes I wear, you know,
Hmm.
if I didn't want women to be interested in me, I'd be sitting at the house in my underpants watching, SpongeBob
You
and
know what I'm
eating
saying?
hoes,
Come
and
on,
you know what I'm
man.
saying? I mean, why? So if my point of coming out of the house, my point of moving around is to find companionship. And I think that's part of
Hmm.
what my book is about, right? If that is my overlying prime directive, as they
Hmm.
said in Transformers, then I have to be somebody who a person I want to attract into my life would be willing
That's right.
to rely upon and see as valuable. And it's always interesting to me, man. I'm married, so
Sure.
understand I'm talking hypothetically, but
Yeah.
it's always interesting to me. I feel like I'm a pretty successful guy. I mean, I ain't the prettiest cat in the world, but what I don't have in looks, I make up for it in gumption. I got a book, I got a company, I got things going, I got a history. I'm a smart guy. I get no
Yeah.
action. I'm like a Meryl Streep movie, no action, right? But the guys that live in my sober house, they've been sober a week and a half, ain't got a dollar to holler, right? Probably gonna be
Hmm.
drunk in 2 weeks. They just got women falling all over them, right? And so I have and I have to say to myself, so what is the difference? And I think the difference is the women that are falling all over them are not the women that I would want anyway.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And
I
and
sure
and
do.
so and it's funny how sex and relationships like that just drag people out of recovery. Left to
Yeah, man.
we got a guy at the house and he's doing good for 6 months, and then he comes in, he's like, hey man, I met this girl at the meeting, and we're like, oh God. Because
Here we
we
go.
know, we
Hmm.
know, right? It's a
Hmm.
matter of time before he's like,
Hmm.
I'm moving on, we're getting a place, and then a few months after that, both of them, they don't split up and they burn up and using again. And
Yeah.
and that's why I keep referencing the book. I think,
Sure.
if you know Johann Hari's concept that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it is connection, right?
Hmm.
We want to connect with people. We want to find people to associate with, to love, to hang out with. When I moved to this community, because this is where my wife is from, I'm from Chicago, downtown Chicago, and I moved to a
Oh,
town
wow.
of 16,000 people in a cornfield, right?
Yeah.
Um, and we've got a river that runs. The river is about a block over this way to my right.
Hmm.
And all summer long, man, this whole town is basically out riding boats up and down the river, right?
Hmm.
I want to ride on the boats. You know, I want to get up on Saturday morning and go out and cut the lawn and then hit the river. But every one of them that invited me was came with a and bring a six pack with you, bring a case, right? Because most of life here revolves around drinking. That's how these people connect with one another. You want to go snowmobiling? We're going to go bar to bar to bar. You want to go motorcycle ride? We're going to go bar to bar to bar. You want to go hunting? We're going to take beer out in the woods, right? So if I want to do something to entertain me that does not involve that, and at 18 years sober, I could probably do it. Yeah, I could probably
Sure.
sit on a boat with a guy and watch him get drunk. But why would I want to? What fun is that? You know? So yeah, I had to create a society or a community of people who had the same values as me. And so that's what our organization does. Next week there's a little private campground lake here. Next week we'll take about 100 people there for free. We have meetings. We had a women's meeting today, one of my staff did. We worked out a
Hmm.
deal with a restaurant. It's an all recovery meeting for women on Tuesday mornings, but they created a special menu at the restaurant for us. So the women, that way nobody's gonna be ordering the lobster and lamb omelet, but they can order within this limited menu and we pay for it. Um, we do things like going bowling. Saturday mornings we have a meeting, and this is what I call affinity grouping, right? Saturday
Right.
mornings we play basketball, right?
Sure.
And the thing is, everybody doesn't respond to 12 step.
No, you're right. You're
Right?
right.
Everybody can't walk into a room of 30, old farmers, sit down and they go, okay, what are your thoughts on the big book? And I just start spewing out all my stuff. That's not, I mean, it's comfortable for me. I've been doing it my whole
Sure.
life, but it's not comfortable for everybody. What if we could bond not on what we are trying to get rid of in our life, but bond on what we're trying to grow? You smell me?
Right.
So you and
Right.
I both have an addiction. That's my yuck, right?
Correct.
And Daryl and Gerald are connected at our yuck, but as our yuck gets smaller in each of us, our our, our connection can get thinner and thinner and thinner.
Hmm.
Now, Daryl and Gerald also both are podcasters.
Hmm.
Imagine if we connect not on our yuck, but we connect on our love of podcasting and our growth in podcasting. So when I'm
That's right.
hearing about something, I'm calling you like, man, do you could do this, that, and the other. And you're like, man, I got this way to get a sponsor. That's something we want to grow. We will get closer.
Instead of talking, hey, to call you
Right,
up, let's go and have some drinks and talk about this.
right,
Well, all we talking
exactly.
about is growth here.
Talking about growth. And if you
Yeah.
were ever to call me and be like, hey, man, there's a thing going on, I'll tell you about it. But first, I got to tell you about this other situation that's going on. I,
Hmm.
as a person in recovery, am there to support you.
Absolutely.
But if there's no problem, then let's talk about what we love. If there's no
Mhm.
problem, let's hoop. Let's go
That's
fishing.
right.
Let's play,
That's right.
let's play pickleball, whatever it is. We don't, and believe me, I'm not saying don't do AA. AA saved my life. I'm saying that at 3, 4, 5 years of sobriety, I got tired of
Mhm.
going to AA.
No, I agree.
I got
It
tired of
could
the
be like
sad
that.
stories. Yeah. I,
Yes.
I still go. I go
Hmm.
once a month to my
Hmm.
home group that I started,
Yeah.
right? I go once
Hmm.
a month or so, but I'm doing this every day. That's why I can't go. But I go once a month, and I just want to make sure I'm there in case somebody needs a sponsor, needs some help, or needs, some positive feedback.
Hmm.
But I'm not there because, I'm there to put on the table now versus to take off.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Um, but I remember when I was new, when I was 30, 40, 50 days sober, and I was going to a meeting every day and didn't want to leave when it was over because I was afraid that I might go drink. And for me, if I start drinking, it's not too long before I find some cocaine,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. And I think you probably touched up on it, but this is the elaboration. I really need some
Hmm.
insight on this. So, what kept you committed when recovery became difficult?
Um, if I'm honest with you, brother,
Yeah, be do.
um, the first time I got sober, the 14 years,
Yeah.
um, the 14 years, it was my children. It was, I was sick of letting my children down. Um, and then I'm going to get even more honest with you, bro. My
Hmm.
father was my chief enabler. My father was a judge. He was a not a philanthropist, a philanderer. He was
Yeah.
messing with every woman in town my entire life, and his way of interacting with me was with money.
Oh
He really
man.
he didn't have no time to play ball or go fishing or none of that. But he didn't mind dropping me, here's 100, go get you a skateboard, right? But he was, I love my dad, man, but he 1 year, one year for Christmas, he gave me this amazing Canon AE1 camera. Man, I must have been about 13 at the time. And he gives me
Ooh,
this beautiful camera, all these lenses, a bag, the flash. Man, he gave me the kit. No
dang.
film. No film.
Okay.
What you gonna do? I'm just
So,
I'm just
like,
like,
what was the point?
yeah, like, all right, man, thanks. But anyway, so that's kind of how he dealt with things. And so me as an addict, that was great because I could
Mhm.
call him and be like, Dad, I don't have no money. This had, elephants flew through the house and took my piggy bank, and now I can't pay my rent. Can you pay it? Oh, God damn it. Always something with you. Who's the check to? Right? And
Yep.
so I lived like that for
Sure.
years and years and years. And I mean, I'm a 30-year-old man still doing that type thing. And then my dad got Alzheimer's and he could not be my enabler anymore. And now I have
Oh
to
wow.
stand up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
ain't no net underneath me.
Sure ain't.
And so yeah, it was, a combination of losing my enabler and my children that led me to get sober and stay that way for 14 years. I purposely relapsed. I was trying to get this girl. She drank. I thought if I drank, she'll like me. And my disease got baffling on me.
No, of
But
course.
when I came back, two things. One, I knew that I have to take my recovery crazy serious. AA's big book also tells me that the key is to be honest with myself. If I am honest with myself, I played with my sobriety before. I was hanging
Mhm.
out with dope dealers. I wasn't using drugs, but the way I met that girl I told you about was giving her
Yeah.
cocaine. So how does a guy who's sober meet her in a bar and give her cocaine? Right? So I was all in some weird. So I knew this time I can't even play that. I don't get nowhere near it.
Right.
The other thing was I knew I could do 14 years. I'd seen myself do 14 years. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't feel like I had an excuse to relapse after a year or two or three or four. The scary day for me was year 14 and a day,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Year 14 in 2 days, 3 days. That's where it got scary because I didn't know if I could do that, but I knew I could do 14. And so I just kind of just did it. Just, and today it just, you know, as you could tell, I think about this stuff a lot, Daryl.
You do.
You hear
And that's
people,
okay.
you hear people say, well, how can you? Because my wife right now drinks. I mean, not heavy. She's a normal drinker.
Hmm.
She bought some beer like 2 years ago.
Hmm.
Tasted one of them. She's like, yeah, I don't really like this, and put it in the refrigerator in the garage. It's been there for 2 years. You know. Now as an alcoholic, beer, no
You
matter
looking at
how
that.
nasty,
Yeah.
it ain't gonna be in the refrigerator for 2 years. But
You
for
hear me?
for
Yeah.
her, yeah, she's a normal drinker. Well, here's the
Yeah.
thing, man. Everything in my house ain't for me.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You don't come to my house and I'm walking around in her underwear. You don't come to her house and I'm messing with her Tampax, right? Because everything, just because it's in that address, doesn't mean Gerald has to devour it. And so,
Correct.
so her wine is not for me. Her beer is not for me. It just ain't for me, you know? And now I am at the point where alcohol and drugs just aren't even an option. It's just there's certain things that just aren't even an option. I don't like heights, right? So like, when they're like, "Hey, let's go to Niagara Falls and walk around the edge." That's not for me. I don't do that. You know,
Yeah, it's a scary thought, dog.
you heard there's a building in Chicago. It used to be
Mhm.
the state of Illinois building, and you go in and all the offices around the edge, but on the inside, it's like a courtyard all the way up to the ceiling, like 25 stories up. And they have
Mm.
a little restaurant in the middle. And I'm sitting in the restaurant one day and I looked up and there's a catwalk at the very top
Uh-huh.
across. And like for the workers to go up there.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I remember telling somebody, I was like, you could put $1 million up there, it'd be safe for me. Dude, it'd be a
Yeah.
million dollars cash sitting on that catwalk. Gerald ain't going nowhere near
Yeah. It's
it, you
funny you
know?
talked about that. I've worked at, see, I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. So I'm literally
Uh-huh.
damn near next door to you.
I
But
love Indy too. I love Indy.
oh yeah, it's gotten a lot better within the years, so to speak. Like I used to work at the Lucas Oil Stadium when the
Okay.
Colts play. So
Hmm.
part of the job was, we do level by level. We do level checks. We check
Hmm.
everything's secure, stuff like that. And one of the things that I've hardly done is when you go up to the press box, you also got to do the catwalk. You like
No,
doing the catwalk. I barely did it. I
no.
only did it maybe once or twice, maybe three times because one of the reasons, yeah, I understand. Oh, yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah. Nope.
But I was being trained for the first time when I did it. The
Right.
next few times, I was training someone. And that's what made that hard because I don't like the catwalks either,
Man,
especially during games.
Osama bin Laden himself could be sitting up on that catwalk. I would never know. I would never know, brother. I'm telling you, I am not going
Oh,
near it.
yeah. Ever since those three times, I have not done it again. Like, if you're gonna have me train somebody else gonna have to do it because I'm not doing it. You're gonna have to get somebody else on the other shift to do it. I'm not
But
doing it.
interestingly, that is because of fear, right? I
Correct. Yeah.
That is a fear.
Hmm.
And I have that same fear of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
I have no doubt that if I fall off that catwalk, I will die. And I
Hmm.
have no doubt that if I start using drugs and alcohol again, I will die.
Hmm.
There's no play with it. There's no
Yeah.
play with it, you know?
For
There's
sure.
no, oh, let's see what happens, right?
Hmm.
I'm done, man. That stuff
Yeah.
is, it just ain't for me.
I'm gonna ask you this because you touched up on something like, yeah, you touching this alcohol, you touch that shit again, yeah, you feel like you gonna die. I gotta ask you.
Mhm.
I want to go back to 14 years.
Okay.
You was sober for 14 years.
Hmm.
The minute that 14 years snapped, what was you feeling? Because you put in all that hard work to
You
be
know,
sober for 14 years. What was you feeling? Like, did you feel like, damn it, Gerald, what is wrong with you? Like,
not at
what was you
all.
feeling?
Not at all. I know you deal with mental health, and please believe I'm 100% respectful of people in mental health. I
Yeah,
say the word addict sometimes, and I say the word crazy sometimes, and I don't mean to diminish anyone. I am aware of person-centered conversation, but for colloquialism, crazy people don't know they crazy. You know what I'm saying?
that's true. No, that's
And
true.
so when if I today were to come up with the thought to use drugs and alcohol, my mind, where I am today, would go, oh, that's ridiculous. You should, why would you do that? You might as well, do something else crazy. By the time I actually relapsed, though, my thinking had slipped so much that it was the next logical step.
Yeah,
And I'll
yeah.
tell you how I did it.
Mhm.
I had opened a wine and desserts bar, right, in
Okay.
Chicago. And,
Hmm.
my thinking was that this girl was going to like be impressed and, she was going to be around me because of this. And
Hmm.
we were selling some really high-end wine. Um, I think our top bottle was like $1,000 or something.
Oh,
And I
wow.
remember sitting there kind of thinking to myself, like, how could I sell somebody $1,000 bottle of wine I've never tasted? You know, I,
Right.
that's not even good business, you know. And so I tasted the wine, and then, and well, now I've tasted one wine, I might as well taste them all. And see, the thing for me, man, I don't even really know if I'm an alcoholic, to be honest with you. I go to Alcoholics Anonymous, but I don't know because I've never allowed alcohol to take me. For
Sure.
me, once I start drinking, it's not very long before I go to cocaine. And I know that's a problem, And so for me, I think of it like alcohol is the cage and cocaine is the tiger. And so for today, I don't mess with the cage. I don't ever have to deal with the tiger. But
There
back
you go.
then, I thought that I could. And so, I probably drank a little bit of wine here and there for 4 or 5 weeks, and then okay, well, let's take a couple shots with it for a few weeks. And I remember kind of hanging with her and her friends for a while. The problem is I
Hmm.
don't drink and drug like a gentleman.
Wow.
When we all put in $20 to get $100 bag and we go back to the house at the end of the night, everybody feels like they didn't get their $20 worth because I took it all. you know, and next thing you know, they're gone and it's just me. And I remember that night, April 17th, I told you about.
Hmm.
I'm sitting in a room in my apartment. I've got blankets over the window so that the light won't come in. Me and the dog are in my bedroom,
Hmm.
and I'm smoking crack, drinking vodka directly out of a handle, cheap vodka. And I'm on Facebook stalking this girl. I remember the picture. Man, I could see this. See, because I believe if you don't remember your last time, it wasn't your last time. I can, I can see the picture on Facebook that I was looking at of her out on this picnic with some friends, and there was a wine glass, and I'm like trying to zoom in on the wine glass to see the reflection in the wine glass of who was there with her, right? Like on some CSI, enhance
Yeah.
nonsense, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I remember looking over at the dog, and the dog's looking at me like, man, if you die, how am I going to get out of here? And where do you keep the food? You know?
Right.
And yeah. That was my last night using, man. And that was when I realized that I didn't want to live like that no more. And so I asked God, and immediately things just started happening, man. Weird things like that didn't make sense. I called the sober living home I had lived in 14 years earlier, and a guy who used to live
Hmm.
in the house answered. A guy that lived in the house with me 14 years earlier was now one of the managers. He answered the phone. And I remember saying, is this Warren that lived up on Keyholes? Yep. It's like, man, this is Gerald. You remember me? I do, Gerald. What?
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
So, yeah. Yeah, man.
I know that was hard. It's always hard.
It's what I did, man.
Yeah.
It's the story. And the thing is, I really don't like to get into war stories, man.
Mhm.
There's a speaker out of Texas, Robin R., I believe it was, who talks about the fact that AA tells us that my own humiliations and struggles will not be enough to keep me from a drink, right? So if I
Mhm.
can't remember my own, how am I going to remember yours, right?
Correct.
It's not like
Correct.
not like you gonna be, getting ready to use one night and you'd be like, you know what? Gerald was sitting in the room with the dog and he was looking on Facebook. Man, I shouldn't do that. You know, that's not gonna save anybody. What's gonna save people is
Right.
hope. is hearing that
Correct.
I was there and now I'm here. And what I'm doing here looks fantastic. I'm
Hmm.
loving it. Even in the
Amen
bad
to that.
times, I'm loving it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. You have to learn to distinguish that difference.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
big.
So,
So why do
yeah.
you think, why do you think, why do you think so many people still struggle to get help, in your opinion?
Because they have allowed themselves to be convinced that this is normal, right?
And it's the
But
only way that can go, so to speak, right?
no, no, no.
Okay.
You realize that getting inebriated, getting out of your mind, getting out of your headspace is not a natural, right? If do you have any pets? Do you have a dog?
I did. I had to put him
Okay.
down about 3, 4 weeks ago.
I'm sorry to hear that, brother. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
Sorry
tough.
for your
It's
loss.
tough. Yeah, it's
So
tough.
imagine if you walked up to that dog one day. Dog is
Hmm.
fine. Dog is doing what he's doing. And you
Hmm.
walk up to him and you touch him. And as the moment you touch him, that dog feels what you feel when you're drunk or high, right? That dog
Yeah.
feels woozy, can't get his bearings. That dog will never let you touch him again. He will think that you harmed him and he will never ever let you touch him again, right?
You got a point.
Why is it that the dog can realize that that is a bad thing, but people go out and try to get it? We have convinced ourselves that that is fun. That's how we talk to each other. That's how we dance. I can't dance unless I'm, in this place. Yes, you can, but, you know, I grew up in the Michael Jordan era, man. You know,
Sure.
there, there's no drug I could take that would all of a sudden make me have his skill, right? Now,
Yeah.
there are certain drugs I could take that would reduce the inhibition, right? I am a fairly
Hmm.
good basketball player when it's me and you up at the Y kicking it. But you put
Hmm.
some people around and I start getting in my head about are they watching me, and all of a sudden I can't play that good. But if I'm drinking or drugging, I can drown out that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still not a better ball player. I'm still me. I've just drowned it out. And so that's why we can dance or tell jokes or meet a woman when we're drunk. But the truth is, we have harmed ourselves. We have made our speech slur. We have diminished our neural connections. We have, made our thinking foggy. Again, if you did that to an animal, they would think that you harmed them. And so, when you ask me, why do you think that people can't get sober or can't get better? It's because
Hmm.
they have convinced themselves that that is pleasurable and that is normal. And so most of the time, those people don't want to be seen as trying to get help. It's the weirdest thing. It's we have an event every month where we take people out. I told you we're going to the
Hmm.
campground, and we
Yeah.
used to call it Sober Night Out. And we
Yeah.
found that people didn't really want to come to Sober Night Out, so we had to change the name to Voices Night Out. Same
Mm.
event, right? But just a flyer that says Sober Night Out. A lot of people don't want that,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Because society, man, I don't know. How old are you?
I'm 38.
All right, you had to think about it. You
I
see,
did. I couldn't remember.
you see, you doing math and
Yeah, I'm
carry
sitting
the
here like,
five.
oh Lord, yes. I was thinking about it. Half of the time I can't remember how old I am. That's why I have to think
and,
about it sometimes.
and
But yeah, I'm
carry the
38.
5 plus 2. All right, so I'm 60, so I'm a little older, man. When I
Okay.
was younger, there was a show on. called Dallas, and then there was another one called Dynasty, right?
Mhm.
And I thought that that's what life was supposed to be, where you came home to this like fancy house and they had that little cart with the crystal thing on it,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
everybody that walked in, you poured them a drink, and everybody just walked around the house with a tumbler of I don't even know what they was drinking, bourbon, whiskey, something, you know. That's what I thought life was. That's what
Absolutely.
they trained me to think,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? And even before that, you did it with a cigarette in your mouth,
Yeah.
right? But that's what we have created in our society is that life is, let's go have a drink. Well, would you like to go out
Yeah.
for a drink? There's a lot of alcohol being pushed at you in subliminal ways.
Mhm.
And I think people buy into it and they don't want to feel the other. They don't want to be the other. And so when you say you can't, in my book, I talk about when I first went to treatment in '88. I had just come back from New Orleans College. Man, I was drinking some of the nastiest crap down there you can imagine. And I get into
Mm.
this treatment center, and the counselor sits me down. He's like, "Well, you won't be able to drink. You'll have to give it up." And I was like, "Even a glass of fine wine?" And he's like, "Man, have you ever had a glass of fine wine?" I was like, "No." Shut up. What the hell are you talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Your addiction is feeding yourself, man.
Right. Like, get out of here. But that's what, life I thought. Like, you grow up and you start drinking fine wine.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if that is what you think normal is and somebody says you can't be normal,
Mhm.
that's not that's an interesting proposition, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
So,
It really is. I'm gonna tell you because it's funny how what alcohol and all that do to people. When I was working at Lucas Oil Stadium, there was one there was one event I was working. It was the Colts game. I forgot who they was playing, but I was a supervisor. I was an usher supervisor, so I had a certain section that I looked after. And I had got called on the radio about a drunkenly disordered man. And this is an older man. We ain't talking about 50s and 60s man. We're talking about 60s and 70s, damn
mm-hmm,
near close to 80. This man, I tell this story on a couple of occasions, but this man was so drunk, he was harassing other people. Now, in these times during these Colts games, you want everybody to have fun and have a good time and have a good experience at this
true.
game. But this man here was literally just being an asshole because he was drunk. He was just
Mm-hmm,
harassing everyone around him. So when I got the call, I was going to immediately throw him out because I don't tolerate that. That's one thing I don't do. I don't tolerate, people that get drunk like that and start harassing people.
mm-hmm,
Cool that you drink. Okay. If you can handle your own, no problem. But I have to strike a warning on you. But when you start harassing people, that's the end. So
mm-hmm,
I go and I check it out and I see the man. He's not doing anything at this point now because he got called on.
mm-hmm.
So I told the fella I didn't want to get in nobody's way. So I was just like, sir, I need you to come with me. He looks at me and just proceeds to continue to watch the game.
Right?
Right? So, okay, I'll do it again. Sir, I need you to come with me. And he looks at me again and he continues to watch the game. I said, that's it. I'm done with him. So what I did was, to me, it's not a power tactic, but I knew things was probably gonna get bad. So I didn't want to be responsible for some things. If I was going to be responsible for something, it's going to be myself. So I took off the headset, turned off my radio. I slid it over to one of my peoples. I said, hold that. Just take care of it. At this point, this is where I have to get a little aggressive and belligerent. I had to get in people's way.
Mm-hmm.
Hated it. Okay. I hated it. So I slid over. I slid over. I'm at risk now because he could just easily take me and just throw me. And
Right.
you know how Lucas Oil Stadium is designed? I could have gotten killed within the first
Yeah.
few rows
Right.
if he threw me back. But I didn't care. Like, people was looking at me to actually do this, to get him out so everybody can
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the game again. So as I'm sliding over, I obstructed his view on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, sir, stand up and I need you to come with me. So he actually complied, but what he did was he kind of, was sizing me like he was getting
Mm-hmm.
ready to do something. And I was ready for him. I was ready for him. But I didn't want to do anything that was going to affect my job. So I looked over and I looked down, and it was unintentional. It was very unintentional. I think this is one of the parts I actually left out too when I was telling it a couple of years back. When I looked down, this dude literally, they don't serve beer cans to people. You have to put them in the cup.
Mm-hmm.
He literally had 4 empty cups, and these were not Cokes. These were not
Mm-hmm.
Sprites. These were not none of that. These were, from what I had smelled, Miller Lite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I sat there, I was like, well, this is either going go one way or another. That's when police started coming. And that's when I started to relieve myself a little bit, kind of like, okay, now that they're here, I don't think he's really going to try anything.
Mm-hmm.
So when they came, he actually complied. He actually left and we went up the stairs. But he stopped. He turned around and looked at me and he did this. Like he was getting ready to choke me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so it's either that I'm going to lose my job because I was going to beat this drunken man up,
Mm-hmm.
or, I compose myself and, you know, try to deal with it the way that I could. And I had no choice. I just dealt with it the way that I could. And at this point, he was so drunk that they decided that they were just going to throw him out. Because I told him already, I had already told the police, I said, hey, I want him out anyway. He was
Mm-hmm.
already harassing people. That was a one strike deal for me. You're going to harass people, they got to go. He didn't like that. He didn't like it at all. So he came charges to me. Literally, he came charges to me, but they had to hold him back. And I'm sitting here like, why does drunk people react this way? Why do they feel like that so much anger is built within them for the actions that they do? That killed me. I literally went home that night and that's all I did. I just thought about that. I just replayed that event over and over and over. And I'm like, oh my God. That was frustrating. Dealing with a drunk person. Dealing with a drunk person, man. That
Well, I
frustrated me.
mean, you brought up so many things about the craziness of addiction and the first one that caught me was the unpredictability,
Yes.
right? The just I never know what a night out is going to be. I like to do things where I have a reasonable assumption that it's going to go in a organized manner,
Correct.
i.e., I go to the game, I watch the game, I buy the nachos, I go home. I do not like, I go to the game, I watch a little bit of the game, I drink something, suddenly I don't know where the hell I am. I'm irresponsible. I get kicked out, arrested, and end up with, with a felony. Right? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, didn't expect that to happen.
Uh-huh.
And that's what alcohol and drugs can do. The other thing you brought up was why do they not take responsibility? Um, and understand, Daryl, I'm
Mhm.
not suggesting prohibition. I don't care about, man, if somebody wants to use cocaine, heroin, whatever, so be it. If you can do it and not bother nobody, do you, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
when your habits get in the way of everybody else. Like you said, that guy could have sat at home and been drunk as he wanted to be,
Yes. And
and nobody would
not
have
have a day
bothered
in the
him.
world. Exactly.
But
Nobody.
he was at a Colts game,
Hmm.
and other people paid to be there
Hmm.
undisturbed, right?
Correct.
You start stepping on what other people are doing, you're going to
Hmm.
deal with their impulses too.
Hmm.
And that he is blessed that you came at him in a civilized way. And it's like if people haven't been able to tell, I'm black. And
Right.
when I was a kid, my mother used to tell me, I don't care what you do, don't run from the police.
That's right.
You'd be
That's right.
standing there with a murder weapon dead in your hand.
Don't run.
Don't run. Because when you
Hmm.
run, you open the door to anything can happen,
Hmm.
right?
Anything. That's exactly
Anything,
right.
right? They'll shoot you in the
Hmm.
back and then be like, oh, it looked like something flashed, you
Well,
know?
he had a weapon in his hand.
Yeah, nope. I don't care what happens. I ain't running from no police.
That's
I
right.
stand there with the Hope Diamond in my hand.
Hmm.
Yep, you caught me,
Yep.
right?
That's it. Not surrender.
That guy is lucky that you came at him civilized because
Hmm.
his actions opened the door for anything to happen,
Hmm.
right? And there's always a tougher guy, there's always a meaner guy, there's always a crazier guy, right?
Hmm.
And I've been at the baseball or football game where the guy two rows up is being a jerk. And I'm sitting
Yeah.
there, I've forgotten all about the game because I'm plotting on, man, when he stands up, I'm gonna knock his block off, you
Hmm.
know? And it's just, sometimes things have happened, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, that unpredictability, man. I cannot
Yeah.
afford to go out into the world and just put myself out for whatever the world wants to bring at me.
Hmm. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I sure
You
do.
know, just I think about like in our town, they have something called Petunia Fest where 10,000 people are on this one street listening to music and drinking. And I'm
Hmm.
out there with my kids, right? At the time, they,
Hmm.
8, 9 years old.
Hmm.
I can't be out there all drunk and crazy with my kids to where I might say something crazy, touch somebody's wife or say something crazy, and somebody
Hmm.
punches me in the head, knocks me out. And now my kids are standing in the middle of the Petunia Fest by themselves, unsupervised, with no way to get home scared.
Yeah.
But that's what
Yeah.
alcohol used to do to me,
Yeah. Of
what
course.
drugs used to do to me. You know, it's
Hmm.
it's scary what we will trade
Yeah.
for our addiction. And I don't know, man. It's like
And
I get
that's
so sad thinking about some of the people that things that happen.
and I tell you, and I'll tell you, like in the aftermath of all of that, after I got done with that, I went back up because now I'm upset because hey, this is the report to write. I'm like, now I gotta add more time to I need to be here. to do
Mm-hmm.
this. I'm already upset. So when I got back up there, it was getting close to halftime. No, yeah, it was getting close to halftime, if not halftime. I get back up there and I'm gathering all of my stuff. I'm like, let me go ahead and do this now. And let's see if I can knock it out if I don't get any more calls or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. So after I grabbed my things, the same people, there was a family, the same people that called for me, that came up to me. There was I think there was two small kids, a teenager, a husband, and a wife. I think that's what it was. I could be wrong. It's been so long, but it was something like that. They all came up to me and they just thanked me. They thanked me. Like, do you not know what could have happened if you did not take action? Do you know how worse that would have been? Do you know how belligerent that man was? And I looked at him. I said, yeah, I know exactly. I knew exactly
Yeah,
how belligerent he
I
was.
saw
I
it.
deal
Yeah.
with this almost every game.
Yeah.
Like every home game that we deal with, I'm dealing with either one or two of these people, right? And they was like, you just don't know. After you got rid of him, we was able to enjoy the game. We was able to high five each other. We was able to do a lot more physical open things to celebrate what the coach did because he wasn't there. And they
Yeah.
just kept thanking me. That made my day.
I can
That made
imagine.
my day right there. Just to
I can
stop a
imagine.
drunk. Okay.
Yeah. I can imagine. And so think about that on a bigger basis. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, just consider what doing that for your community feels like.
Yeah, buddy.
And it just it compounds. It compounds.
It
But
do.
I don't want to present people that are drinking and drugging like they're, monsters. They're not. They're sick.
No, they're not.
They're
Yeah, they're
sick.
just sick.
And
Mm-hmm.
and we absolutely know that drinking in that manner
Mm-hmm.
is the result of depression, uh, other psychoses, other neuroses,
Mm-hmm.
etc. And I wish everybody could get to the root problem. Sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
a very serious problem. Sometimes it's just, you just weren't raised very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my case, I think that was it. I think that my parents
Mm-hmm.
did the best they could, but they had their own stuff, and there were some things that slipped through the cracks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But but you owe it to yourself to
Mm-hmm.
try to get it under wraps because, again, as I started this talk, we have an agreement to behave ourselves. The guy that you threw
Yeah.
out broke the agreement. We have an
Mm-hmm.
agreement. Yeah, we're going to get loud
Mm-hmm.
at the game. We're going to act up. I'm going to cheer for my team. You're going to cheer for your team. Once it starts getting physical, once you start getting aggressive, you've broken the agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not okay. And if I'm
Mm-hmm.
out of my mind, I how can I color within the line?
Correct. Correct.
So I'm just out here a walking time bomb, ready to go off.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a mess, man. But yeah, I don't we could probably talk for hours and hours.
I know, but I do. I'm just going to ask you last one question before we get out of here. But yeah, it's been real. But when you hear the words breaking mental health,
Hmm.
what does that mean to you?
Breaking mental health.
Yes,
Um, it I can hear it as negative or positive. All right.
sure.
Negative, I hear that, it is something that is challenging somebody's mental health and putting them in a bad place.
Yeah.
Positively, I see it as, you're kind of exposing or breaking out the fact that there are mental health issues that we all suffer from, even the most put together people. have certain things, man. You know, again, I'm 18 years sober. I'm living a wonderful life. Things couldn't probably be better at this moment. And
That's
yet,
right.
I was in my therapist's office just yesterday complaining about something, you know. So,
No.
I call it high class problems today, you know, but
Yeah,
it's still problems.
true.
So, we all have to be aware of the status of our mental apparatus, right?
Yeah.
Our brain, man. The, the, the most elaborate computer in the world.
Hmm.
Sometimes it needs some updates,
I do.
you know? So
Yeah.
that's what it means to me, I guess.
Okay. Cool.
What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to me? So mine is kind of like, it can relate to some of what you say, but for me, it's like breaking mental health is like where I can actually help people. Listen,
Hmm.
like the main ingredient, like in my personal opinion, the main ingredient to actually getting to a root cause is actually listening.
Hmm.
You get to the smaller problems, and I always say this, and I say it on quite a few of my episodes on the podcast. I'll say, like, if you got something to say, if you got something, you really feel that you are complaining about, complain about it. I don't care how small it is. It could be this small. I don't care. If it gets this small, it's a very good possibility that that small possibility could be the root of your problems and it can grow. And you can
Hmm.
find different solutions to that problem. That's why I always feel like when it comes down to breaking mental health, for me, it's all about listening. Always. And if I'm listening and people are answering and people are talking, then I know right there I did something good. That's how it is for me.
I've listened to many of your episodes and I like what you're doing, brother. And I appreciate you for having me on. And, I hope I contributed to
You did,
the
man. You did.
conversation and, always open to talk to you.
Yeah, man. It's always been real, man. You have brought so much things that I've learned when it comes to, recovery, you know, especially from the drugs and alcohol perspective. I don't get many of them. And you brought it. You
Oh,
brought
thank
it,
you.
man. Yeah, and I appreciate you, man, for coming on and
Absolutely.
actually talking to me with this, man.
No worries, man. No worries. Let's do it
You
again
bet.
sometime.
You
All right.
bet. You bet.
All right.
All right now.
All right. Well, hey, let me know if you need anything or, whatever I can do
For
to
sure.
help. All right. All
Yeah,
right, man.
for
We'll
sure, man.
talk.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right. Bye bye.
All right now. Bye now.